Welcome to the European theme park trip vlog. Going through downtown Atlanta right now on a Sunday night, about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, departing for Amsterdam at about 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight. Heading over to Europe to check out a bunch of different parks. Can put that up on the screen right now, everywhere we're going. And this vlog's gonna have a little bit of everything. Show the travel, show the parks, and all the fun in between. By playing the miles and points game, I transferred points from Chase to Flying Blue, which is KLM Air France, but you can also book Delta through it, so a neat little hint there. For 35,000 points, I was able to get premium comfort, which was a really nice seat, kind of like domestic first class, but with a lot of amenities. And we're at our first stop of the trip. After a quick stop at a local mall for some food, we are at this middle of a neighborhood, quaint little neighborhood here, just about 20 minutes outside of Amsterdam, for Down the Hatch. It is an escape game. It's supposed to be one of the best in the world. We'll see if it lives up to hype. It's like a escape game just to figure out where this place is around the corner. And about 80 minutes later, just wrapped up. Now, that's the bad thing about escape rooms is you can't film inside, so there's really not a lot to show, and I don't want to ruin it, but it was incredible. Probably like 8 or 9 different rooms, all kinds of gags. Again, don't want to ruin it, but definitely worth checking out, about a half hour or so south of Amsterdam. It was then about a 2-hour drive to Ghent, Belgium, but it felt like 10 hours after not sleeping on that plane. Ghent is located about an hour north of Brussels, and I think you'll quickly see why it became a trip highlight for me. It took a bit to find the hotel. A lot of one-way streets. Finally got checked in. It's about 9 o'clock. Still a little light out. Definitely a cool city with a lot of quaint kind of nooks and crannies. Looking forward to exploring this tonight and then a little bit tomorrow as well. This a lot of it goes around this canal. We made it to the Drifter Tiki Bar here in the city. I think one of the only ones in like Belgium. Not a lot of tiki bars in Europe. Gotta change that. They're fun. Amazing rum selection at this bar. Got talking with the bartender, and we went deep on rums. He pulled some of his favorites, some high proof, 151 proof, 151, yeah. Some Foursquare rums, which are delicious, including their own like barrel pick of Foursquare, which is Drifter. That's what I have already bought. First souvenir of the trip. Who needs it? Some tiki bars do tiki mugs. I like this one. They do their own tiki rum. A really cool place. Got the classic Mai Tai. Kinky colada over there. We're wrapping up the night, leaving the Drifter. It was great. Got my Drifter Foursquare bottle. Great cocktails, great conversation with the bartender. Really fun little cocktail bar. It wasn't your usual tiki bar with over-the-top decor or over-the-top kind of music tiki-wise, but what we showed you in the video is only kind of part of it. It goes back and back, and on a busy night, they're probably holding quite a bit of people all the way in several different rooms into the patio, so that was a lot of fun. And that wraps up essentially day 0 of the trip. Maybe day 1 officially. I haven't slept since I left Atlanta, so to me it's all still one same day, but quiet walk along this little river. Very still and calm river here in Ghent, Belgium. For a great little night at the Tiki Bar. Now it's time to get serious about theme parks. Rest up, finally get some rest after all that travel. Day 1, or at least official park day 1. We're at Plopsaland De Panne. The park seemed to be a family park that's trying to broaden to be a full-fledged thrill park. No denying that when they added one of the most intense and popular coasters in the world, Ride to Happiness. I found the spinning to be a little too much, but the layout was awesome, and I can certainly see why people have it ranked so high in their top 10. Spinning through loops, just a bit much.
park also has several other coasters, including a wooden coaster that's almost a near clone of White Lightning, the awesome wooden coaster in Orlando. It's everything you'd want in a wooden coaster. The airtime, it's really smooth. Park also has a bunch of other rides, including this giant water ride, as well as a full indoor kids section.
And that wraps up Park 1. We're sneaking in another park today, about an hour away. Driving through the cornfields of, not Iowa, Belgium. Told you there was a lot of corn in Belgium.
About an hour and a half later,
made the second park of the day, Bellewaerde. It's a partial zoo, partial water park, partial amusement park. Some pretty classic looking buildings here to go in. Park really got put on the map this year because they opened a giant new crazy looking Intern water ride. Let's head inside, check it out, and check out some of the other coasters and other wacky stuff they have here. Well, that's a big bummer. Shocker, the Intern water ride is not working. Crazy new Intern water ride is not running. Given the scaffolding behind it, I don't know, maybe it's not going to run anytime soon. Looks like maybe they've added some gripper to maybe slow the rafts down. Maybe that's what they're working on. I have no idea, I'm just theorizing. There's also a drop track section in there that's supposed to be pretty cool. It's a big bummer. You can see the ride goes all the way over there with that tower lift. One of the pretty big raft rides out there. So not surprised that it's closed because something this complicated probably having issues, but big bummer.
Bellewaerde features several coasters, including this surprise of a family coaster. It had a mid-ride launch and a direction change after going up this spike over the water. Really cool. And then there's this super unique mountain coaster that doesn't have a mountain, which, yes, means you have to walk all the way to the top. But it's a really fun ride once you get on it. It's included with park admission, which mountain coasters are usually pretty expensive, and it even races, so it's really fun. The park has a Mexico-themed area with a giant indoor-outdoor coaster, as well as a boomerang. One of the oldest boomerangs at that, that's still in operation at least. And then there is the Jungle Cruise knockoff ride. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the park is part rides and part zoo. And this is a Jungle Cruise style ride that features real animals and Jungle Cruise style elements like these knockoff alligators there. Capybaras, that's a win. That's something you don't see at the real Jungle Cruise. But hey, you can never say no to capybaras. I had to speed up parts of this video because while the ride idea is neat, it's very long due to the slow speed of the boats. But, you know, similar to Jungle Cruise, you do go through a giant tunnel.
Quite the big giraffe exhibit. And they have quite a few giraffes too. Count 1, 2, 3, 4. Mixed in with the zebras. Nice little path that goes all the way around and then up to this landing that gets you pretty close. And we're back in town, and with a perfectly timed boat coming like for my shot here. That's awesome. Really nice, charming city. The only knock on it is it's really a lot of one-way streets. Driving around here is a little crazy, but golden hour here, and cities look awesome.
Ghent really came alive at night. So many walkable streets, so many outdoor restaurants. It was really a city that exceeded expectations, and one I can't recommend enough. Also, we ended the trip at Mosquito Coast, a travel-themed restaurant. Reminded me of Adventurers Club a little bit.
Day 2 of parks starts in southern Belgium with Walibi.
Let's jump right in with Conda. This is easily the best ride in the park, and probably a contender for best coaster in Europe, if not one of the top in the world. This is really good. Airtime machine features non-inverting loops, airtime, and more airtime. If you like Velocicoaster, Pantheon, Expedition G-Force, you know who you are. This ride would quickly become one of your favorites. Elsewhere in the park is Tiki Waka, a fun wild mouse ride that is spread out versus on top of each other, something you don't see everywhere. Fun theme too. Nearby is a dark ride by Sally, and Sally doesn't miss. This might be one of their best actually. Great theming throughout, trackless ride vehicles mean some alternate endings are possible. Overall, a standout dark ride, especially for a regional park. Every park needs a Sally dark ride. There is an SLC. It's about as good, or rather not as good as you think. Vekoma wooden coaster, that's not awful, but it's not great. But word is it'll be RMC'd soon. That's going to be awesome. Really going to make a stacked lineup for this park. Pulsar is the park's water coaster. I rode the one in Texas last year, and even not being a water ride fan, I loved it. And this one was just as good. So much fun, you don't get super wet, and the forward and backward launches are a bit surprising how good they are. I'll repeat what I said for the dark ride. Every park needs one of these Mack water coasters. Park is also home to an indoor launch shuttle loop coaster and a Big Thunder Mountain knockoff. All in all, we spent about 4 hours before deciding, while eating lunch at the park, to squeeze in another unplanned park.
It's 4 o'clock on the dot and we've made it to our next park.
Bobbejaanland is in northeast Belgium, and despite being corporate owned, it feels like a family park with a big collection of unique rides. Let's start with ride number 1, a Vekoma suspended coaster. Similar to the Aero suspended coasters, but this one has no floor, and it's a neat layout, kind of like a Wild Mouse close together. Then there is Fury, the park's probably most well-known roller coaster, a Eurofire that has claim to fame that you can vote for going forwards or backwards. While boarding, you select which direction you want to go, and then this turntable here rotates you forward or backwards after the car pulls out onto it. A really fun ride, pretty intense. Typhoon is another Eurofire style ride, and one of the first Eurofires. Again, a really compact layout on this one. Here's some clips from the monorail. It's a really charming park with a lot of character. In a way, quite the opposite of the very thrill-heavy Six Flags designed Walibi Belgium that we just came from. The park has an old dark ride called the El Paso Special, and let's just say this is an interesting dark ride. Here's a few clips. A few-hour drive to Germany, and we made it to our hotel at Phantasialand. Check out this really unique hotel, Charles Lindbergh. I am using a little bit of a wide-angle lens, so objects may appear larger than they seem, because it is a very, very tiny kind of cabin. Breakfast and dinner are included at the hotel, and we made it there just in time to catch the last seating for dinner. And the food was excellent. After a lot of bad theme park food the last few days, it was nice to sit down and have a really nice meal. You stay here for the location, because you are quite literally inside the park. The next day was all about Phantasialand, and it started with the breakfast at the hotel. With this view, we were literally feet from the coaster. This was awesome. And enough about the hotel. Let's head into the park. The hotel had a private entrance to the back area of the park where Fly was. Let's jump to the other side of the park and talk about Tehran.
Tehran. Now this is probably the most hyped, talked about coaster out there that I have not been on yet. So super excited to check out this crazy ride. Last time I was here, they were just about to begin the construction of it. So totally new seeing it for me.
The park's theming is its strongest point. I mean, the rides are great, really great, but the theme is just out of this world. At points, it doesn't even feel like you're walking through a theme park. Here's an example. Black Mamba going in and around this whole area. You couldn't even tell a B&M's there if you didn't look closely. And then there's Choppas, this water ride. It goes in and around all those buildings you see back there, but it looks so naturally built in that it's supposed to be there. But this whole area is man-made. The whole area around Fly is just breathtaking. There's so many details and layers to it. That's one thing that this park does so well, is there's so many different levels to it. There's these buildings there feel like they're a couple levels high, and then all of a sudden you realize it goes down a few levels. The coaster actually is, below ground and above ground. And there's a lot of dimension to this park. And then of course, you saw earlier, this area just looks spectacular at night. Then there's Winjas, this really fun indoor spinning coaster. And if you listen to our podcast, shameless plug, you know no one talks about what actually goes on this ride because you don't want to spoil it for others. It's a lot of fun though. I'm not a big water ride guy, but everyone told me I had to go on River Quest, the park's rapids ride. And remember when I said the park does a good job about creating dimension in multiple levels? You can see here that the River Quest ride is on multiple stories. It's crazy. There's a dark ride that uses the same vehicles as Toy Story Mania. It just has 100 times more theming. Like, I'm not kidding. There's so much theming on this ride. It blows Toy Story Mania out of the water. Phantasialand is easily one of, if not the very best themed park in the world. The attention to detail blows parks out of the water, including Disney and Universal. This park's on another level and one of my favorites.
About an hour and 15 minutes later, about 12 o'clock, we made it to Toverland, with Troy off in the distance.
Toverland started as an indoor park and slowly started to add an outdoor section. One of the first rides, and the ride that really put them on the map in the enthusiast community, is the giant GCI coaster Troy. This is a great ride that reminds me a lot of Dollywood's Thunderhead, and not just because of the station fly-through. Let's take a ride. One of the other early outdoor rides is this Vekoma motorbike coaster. What a lot of fun this ride was.
Avalon section of the park. This is one of the newest sections. Kind of with the wind coaster being the centerpiece of it.
Phoenix the Wind Coaster is a really unique ride. It's pretty short, but look at this theming around it. There's this helix mid-ride that goes around another ride right along this pathway. Moving to the inside part of the park, there's two main buildings. One of them includes this indoor-outdoor log flume. And yes, that it does go backwards for part of it. It turns you around before you go back outside, but part of the ride is backwards. And then here's another one of the indoor sections. You can definitely tell this is early on in the park's history. While it's still really well themed and has some nice attractions, it's definitely not as themed or involved as some of the other areas of the park. One of the downsides of trying to fit in so many parks in so many days is you're not going to get on everything. And that was the case with this powered alpine slide style ride. It had a long line, and we were on a little bit of time crunch, so I wasn't able to go on it, though it does look pretty cool. I think it goes outside the building as well. The park did have some of these unique kind of like ropes course obstacle things around it. That's kind of fun, something that besides just rides. All in all, we spent about 3 hours at the park before we headed north to check in at Efteling and meet up with some friends. Now, we stayed on site at Efteling at one of their hotels. The hotel is about a 10-minute walk from the park. The nice thing about staying on site for any theme park is being able to go back to your hotel room. We had this kind of little cottage and just relax. And going a little bit out of order here, this was the next day, but there's like this whole little like park area behind our cottage that was able to come back midday, have one of their specialty Efteling beers, and just relax. It was a vacation after all. Efteling is such a special park with so many world-class attractions. This is just a quick overview. We have some multiple long-form videos on the channel, so shameless plug. Park has several coasters ranging from not themed to a dive coaster with incredible pre-show. Just couldn't record it, but the ride was really fun. The GCI is a racing coaster, and wow, this really surprised me. There was some Titan track, kind of that newer style track on it that made it really smooth. Here's a quick look at the ride. stars of the park is the amazing dark ride collection, headlined by Symbolica. This might be one of the best dark rides in the world. It's trackless, it features giant sets like this room here where you kind of just bounce around and interact with the other cars and the various elements. It is everything you'd want in a dark ride and more. Absolute perfection. There's a It's a Small World knockoff. And I'm not kidding, this ride is so similar to It's a Small World. I mean, just look at this. If you didn't know better, you'd think I'm showing you a clip of Small World right now. And speaking of Disney rides, there's a Middle Eastern themed Pirates of the Caribbean style ride. You see the same style boats, go through a bunch of show scenes, all really well done. It's not a knock on the ride at all. It even has a catchy theme song. The park's signature attraction, quote unquote, is the Fairy Tale Forest. This is a large walkthrough area with countless displays from various fairy tales. Some are just one scenes, other are houses or core elements from the stories, others are just giant animatronics. It's such a unique area. The park just feels very quaint and simple and has some very unique kind of rides that suit that, like this small train that's farm themed, or going around the center of the park in the big lake area, a very simple couple-person boat ride. Overall, the park just has this like city park meets theme park vibe, very relaxed and wooded. We spent a day and a half here, and that was more than enough time.
It's Sunday morning, which means 1 week since I left Atlanta. We're here at the last park of the trip, 10 a.m. in the morning, right around opening for Walibi Holland, which is about 45 minutes northeast of Amsterdam. Kind of a fun entrance here. Definitely compared to some of the other European parks that are very heavily on theme or family. We just came from Efteling, which is very charming. This definitely feels, that has that kind of Six Flags.
Let's start with Lost Gravity. Now this is a unique coaster with some really sharp turns and some pretty steep drops. I really liked it. I thought it would just be all about the turns, but there's some really great airtime on this ride as well. Untamed is the park's giant RMC conversion from a few years ago, and it lives up to the hype. Quickly became one of my favorite RMCs, and it had a lot of great layout features, some really great bank turns, and a lot of airtime, but also wasn't too intense. Being a big Cedar Point / Millennium Force fan, I was really excited to ride Goliath. It's a mini Millennium Force of sorts. It's everything you love about Intamin, the big hills, the giant airtime, some great helixes, and then more airtime and more airtime. One of my favorite rides of the trip. With Vekoma being a Dutch company, it's no surprise the park has a few of the locally designed rides. The SLC, wasn't good. The Boomerang featured a rave tunnel with lights and music. That couldn't save it from being just your standard Boomerang, so not great. Express, though, now this is the unique and the winner out of the trio. It's a rock and roller coaster clone from Disney, but it's outside, so that was a lot of fun. Similar to its counterpart, Walibi Belgium, this park really delivered. Has a great coaster collection, and they're adding 2 more RMCs for the 2025 season. I think that will probably make it one of the better, if not best, coaster lineups in Europe. All in all, we spent about 4 hours-ish at the park. We did rush it a little bit, but as you can see, there was almost no one there. But we wanted to get out, to get back to Amsterdam, to have time to check out the city.
Well, the coaster part might be done. Now we're off-roading almost. These roads are so small, it almost becomes off-roading when someone tries to pass. For one of our last few treats of the trip, potentially. Told you we'd be off-roading, quite literally parking in a field. We're about 3 miles from Walibi Holland. Getting my Wallabis messed up.
This detour was for a pancake restaurant. Everything you see here is for a pancake restaurant. It's mind-blowing. This is all for pancakes.
I've never seen a restaurant that has a giant playground. This is incredibly huge. And people are all here for pancakes. The restaurant starts all the way over there, goes all the way this way. We were assigned over here because we did not have a reservation. It seems like you probably need a reservation if you wanted the good seats inside.
We sat outside on one of the patios, but the inside was the most whimsical looking place I've ever seen. Take any Disney restaurant, times it by 10, magic whimsical wise, and that's what this place was. There's even a slide for the kids to get down to the bathroom. Food was traditional Dutch pancakes. Here's their website. The place is called Hans and Gretel. And I was just so mind blown by this crazy restaurant that I didn't even bother to say it in the video. So here's their website. Like I said, it's about a 10-minute drive from Walibi Holland. An absolute must visit if you're going to Walibi Holland. This place is just crazy. And they even have a full bar in case the kids are driving you crazy.
De Pancakes. What a concept. Pancakes were delicious. This place is packed. We were able to walk right in. They assigned us a table. So that's not too bad. And now on to Amsterdam. Made it to Amsterdam about 5 o'clock. Starting off with some cocktails.
We only had a few hours in town, so we jumped right in with the Flying Dutchman, an exceptional cocktail bar. You can see here, they had a huge list of spirits and a really great custom cocktail menu, not just the standards that you'd expect at a bar. I then walked about a mile through downtown to the outskirts for Rum Barrel, a rum-focused bar, and wow, one of the best bar experience I've ever had. The rum list was deep, the pours were reasonably priced, the bartender / owner and I talked rums for hours while he curated a nice tasting experience for me. Then it was over to Winkle 43, a place that was super hyped up, and it lived up to it for having the world's best apple pie.
Last day, good morning. Just to kind of wrap up Amsterdam from last night, my phone died. We took an Uber from the hotel to downtown and back. That actually worked pretty well versus trying to go to the airport and take the train from the airport into town. Very quick, about 20 minutes, only about 30 euros each way. But I really want to show you from this hotel. We were staying at the Corendon, right across the expressway from AMS. And there's a giant 747 in the hotel's like garden area. And what's weird is there's nothing in it. You think there'd be a restaurant or there'd be rooms or a bar. There's a 747 bar. It's the bar up there. And they call it the Overlook Bar. Put a bar in this plane. That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. So, yeah, recommend this hotel. It is a Marriott Tribute property. So if you're a Bonvoy member, you know the drill. And it's right across from the airport. I have a car, but they do have a shuttle that runs every half hour for free. So hotel gets a big thumbs up from me. The only knock is do something with the plane. Be cool.
And with that, the trip comes to an end. Thanks for watching. For all the parks you've seen here, we have longer videos. We have POVs from them. If you're interested, head over to our channel, like and subscribe. Check out those other videos. Thanks for watching.